All right, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday carry people. It's the Big Canucker today, and I would like to go over a knife that is one of my favorite knives of all time, and it is something that is custom, although it's not super customized. It's a discontinued blade, but if you have the opportunity to get one, I thought I would still kind of go over this. Now, this is the Spyderco K2 titanium folder. This is an absolutely beast of a knife, and it is something that is a manly man's knife. It makes me when I carry this, I'm not aware of any of my inadequacies at all. By the way, I'm just kidding. I'm always aware of my inadequacies. All right, just to give you a size comparison, we've got, of course, the Lucky 22 as well. And we've got a really, really big knife here, which is your another one, which is your Spyderco Manix 2 XL. And I'm also going to put another big knife in here, which is going to be your Spyderco Endura in the ZDP 189. As you can see, these two blades here are quite large knives, and this K2 dwarfs the both of them here. Just to show you here, you've got overall length quite a bit more. You've got an inch on the Endura, and you've got probably half an inch on the Spyderco Manix 2 XL. And let me tell you, half an inch does make a difference sometimes. Just ask your wife. All right, here. So let's go over this absolute beast of a knife here. Now, this is designed here in collaboration with British custom knife maker Farid Mehr. He produces some really, really heavy duty knives, and one of his really big trademarks is the fact that he's got this Reeves integral lock here, this frame lock, but he likes this little squiggly line here. Just adds a little bit of touch, and it's kind of a Farid Mehr trademark. Now, this K2 Spyderco K2 folder is very, very similar, reminiscent of an actual Farid Mehr K2. He likes using the CPM 10V steel too as well, which is, I'm going to tell you, that's what this thing here is. CPM 10V. Now, the CPM 10V is very similar to the 110V, except I do believe you've got more vanadium in this blade, about 9.75% vanadium in here. So this thing is an absolute cutting beast. It is a full flat ground, very, very thin for such a large knife, and it's got incredible wear resistance with this 10V in it. Now, there was I can't remember who actually did the testing. I know Cedric and Ada Gear Channel, Pete, he did testing on this, and this was the leader for a long time. I do believe it was close to 600 cuts on his Sisal rope before, some of that other super steel came in and beat it, but this still, I do believe, is number 3 even to this day. And there's also a 10V knife out there that ended up doing 2,400 cuts through 5/8 manila rope before it lost edge sharpness, but that was a 10V steel that was sharpened, that was a little bit hardened a little bit more than this one here. So some more technical specs here. We've got overall length of 10 inches or 9.99 inches or 254 millimeters. The closed length is 5.45 inches, which is a little smidge under 5.5 inches or 138 millimeters. Now, your blade thickness is 3.5 millimeters, and for such a long blade here, which is a 4.5 inch blade, 4.54 inch blade, 3.5 is extremely thin, but it is really, really tough because you've got, over an inch of steel here this way, and you've got a really, really tough steel in CPM 10V. So even though you're not supposed to pry with these, the tip here is still fairly robust all the way through, but it is an extreme slicer. That's where this is going to be a really, really, this knife's going to shine with its slicing. Like I said, okay, you've got the titanium handle. Your edge length here is 4.25 millimeter, or 4.25 inches or 108 millimeters. Now, this was built in this Taiwan factory, so the fit and finish on it was perfect. It came completely centered. Now it's a little bit on the heavier side at 6.2 ounces, but for some reason it seems to carry, even though this is a 5.2 ounce, this one here is 6.2 ounces, it just seems like this carries lighter weight than the Manix XL. I don't know if it's just my mind playing tricks on me, but that's what I seem to do. Now, she's a little bit thin here too as well, with right around a 1/2 inch wide. And I'd have to say, if I could put a knock on this knife, is the fact that it's a little bit thin. And when you're really kind of bearing down on there, sometimes it can kind of give you a little bit of a cut here, but I mean, not a cut, but it kind of cut into your hand a little bit. I happen to have taken this, I'm not sure if you can see it shined up a little bit. I chamfered it a little bit on both edges here. I took a little bit of sandpaper and I knocked off that edge. That made a difference. But I really, if I'm gonna do some real heavy duty tasks with cutting tasks with this, I like to have a set of gloves on. But it's a really big handle because, like I said, I've got really big hands, so there's a tremendous amount of room. The other knock that I would put on this too as well is the fact that there is no hardened lock insert, and you've got some lock stick on this knife, and that lock stick absolutely drives me insane. How I've kind of got through with it is, you can see there's a little bit of a marker there. I paint. See, now she's starting to wear out a little bit here, but in here I'll put some black marker, Sharpie marker. That'll work for a little bit. Right now what I've sprayed in there is I've sprayed a extremely fine PTFE powder, Teflon powder, and that seemed to have been working for the last little bit. But you know, if you open this knife and you close it, you know, just fine, it seems to be all right. And I kind of close this with my, even though you can hear that lock stick, but as soon as you start to Spidey flick it and you give it a really hard open, then it seems to really lock in there sometimes. So now the other thing about the other knock on this knife that comes from factory is I like the option of having tip up and tip down carry, because I love with the tip up carry. I guess with such a you know, a unique blade and such a long blade and heavy blade, they wanted to make sure that it wouldn't open inside your pocket. But I have to tell you, since I've had this milled out to be the tip up carry, I have not had one instance where the blade has come open in my pocket and cut me or damaged anything. The detent on here is quite strong, so I've had no issues with that whatsoever. So the other thing I did with this is, because CPM 10V is not a rust resistant or a stainless steel knife blade, I actually took some and did a little bit of a forced patina on here with some mustard, and I was going to make it darker, but I really like the way that this came out. You know, I dabbed some mustard on there, I let it sit for about half an hour, then I rinsed it off, and it gave me just a really nice kind of camel pattern. You know, I wish it would show up more on the camera, but in person this is extremely beautiful forced patina. So now your pros and cons of this knife is you've got incredible wear resistant steel with this. You've got a nice thin 3.5 millimeter blade and a tall fully flat ground blade that makes this as an extreme slicer. It gives you 4.5 inches of blade length, so it's a really heavy duty knife. And the fact that it carries so extremely well, I absolutely love it. Now the knocks against it are this lock stick for sure, and she's a little bit uncomfortable. I wish they had I wish they'd knocked this down a little bit, or they had perhaps put a little bit more titanium in here and rounded it off. That would have made it, I think, a little bit more comfortable. But other than that, fully, you know, flow through designed. It allows you just to pop out your pivot and pop out your standout, and you can pop this open and do your maintenance on it and clean it up. And you know what? It works extremely well doing it that way. All right, now to give this a score at out of 10, you know what? I like this knife quite a bit, but that lock stick really kills it for me. I'm gonna probably give this knife an overall score of about, I'm gonna say 7 out of 10. If you got rid of that lock stick and it came factory with a tip up carry, as well as a little bit more of a palm swell, she'd be a 10 out of 10. But that lock stick just absolutely drives me crazy. Would I recommend this knife? Absolutely. If you have the ability to get this on the secondary market, or you know somebody who is selling one because they are discontinued, pick one up. You will not regret it, and it is an extremely, extremely capable camp knife. That's why I actually use it a lot, is I put it in my pocket when I'm heading out camping, because it allows me to do all my wood tasks. And it allows me also, even though it's not a stainless steel blade, I still do some food prep with it. I just have to make sure that I wipe it off before it gets even more of a patina on it. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this, please like and subscribe. And remember, keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up, and the pointy end away from your bits.